Porkins Policy Radio, offering a unique perspective on everything: geopolitics, culture creation, the reality of the world we live in. Coming to you live from New York City, your host, Pierce Redmond.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Porkins Policy Radio. As always, I am your host, Pierce Redmond, and you can find this show here at American Freedom Radio, AmericanFreedomRadio.com, as well as my website, which is PorkinsPolicyReview.com. And if you are new to the show, there are lots of ways to listen. You can, of course, find me on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM, Podbean. I'm also on YouTube. And later on Friday nights, you can hear me rebroadcast on a host of other networks, including awakeradio.us, People's Internet Radio, Ed Opperman's Spreaker channel, and lots of other ways as well. There's always new podcatchers and other services picking up the stream. Well, quickly, before we dive into today's show, I just want to mention that the bonus podcast for this month is basically done. I just have to finish a little bit of the editing, but it's going to be a fun show. It's a slightly shorter one, although I think last month it was almost a 2-hour show. I think that was last month's bonus. I can't actually remember now. Oh no, that was with Issa Bloomy. That was also a long one too, and the one before that was even longer with Chuck. This is a shorter one we did with our good friend Keelan Balderson from wideshut.co.uk, talking about good old Tommy Robinson, aka what is it, Stephen Yaxley Lennon something or other. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we talked about Tommy Robinson. We did some Tommy Robinson updates. Also, spoke a little bit about UKIP and some of the interesting right-wing celebrities that have gotten involved in UKIP, like Paul Joseph Watson of InfoWars. So really fun show, kind of a shorter one, but I think that's good. It was a punchy little podcast that we did after a recent show with Keelan, of course. And that's pretty much it for plugs. I do want to just tease out that I've got a very, very good interview lined up for early in October with two excellent writers, very famous in the 9/11 truth community, and I don't want to give away too much more about that, but I think it's a really good show, or it's going to be a really good show, very interesting, and I'll give a little bit more information about that probably next week once I nail down interview times and whatnot. But without further ado, we welcome back my sister, Emma Redmond. She is in studio right now, joining us. Of course, you can find all of Emma's work at emmaredmond.com. And I think that's really your only website, right?
You can find me on Instagram. I have not paid my Squarespace bill, and I think it's coming up. So there might be a halt on the website, but we'll figure that out.
Possible halt on the website.
Yeah, Instagram, Emma__Redmond.
Yeah, and we'll link up to that in the show notes. And you can find previous episodes. I think this is your...
Maybe fourth
episode? Yeah. Well, what did we did? Oh yeah, we did South Park, Star Wars, Orphan Black, and now this one.
Now Incels.
And now we're going to be talking about incels, involuntary celibates. So this is a slight departure from our, usually we talk about like pop culture stuff.
I think there's some overlap.
Yeah, and I think we'll get to we might get to some pop culture stuff in the second hour, but I guess this is something you really wanted to talk about.
I did.
And I think this actually started a few months ago. We were at a tapas bar, actually. Mm-hmm. And we had a few drinks as well. And somehow we ended up talking about incels and Jordan Peterson for like 3.5 hours. And I think at the time you were not super up on your incel stuff, right?
I think I just discovered this community.
Yeah, we can call it a community.
And It was funny, before I was going on the show, I was telling friends of mine, I'm doing my brother's show, and I'm going to talk about incels. And then, of course, the question is, what is incels? And how kind of crazy you sound when you start to describe this. And just, I think when I first discovered them, it wasn't that I didn't believe these people existed. I strongly did believe they existed. It was just, I didn't know to the depths,
that they operate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess this is, I don't think I've ever previously discussed incels on the podcast, so this is definitely going to be a first.
Yeah.
But, they were a topic that I think I actually heard Ed Opperman mentioning that for some reason, I'm sure Ed will listen to this at some point. Maybe he can fill in the listeners, but I think he had a bunch of like incel listeners that used to like hassle him, and they were like, or they wanted him to be an incel, or they wanted him to talk about incels. I don't know exactly, but I think that was like one of the first times I really heard someone talk about it, and Ed would just sort of mention it, here and there when he would do like that extra hour of his show, the sort of like after show thing, and he would mention them from time to time, and then I guess I really sort of started looking into it. And then coincidentally, there is a movie documentary. It's available on YouTube, and we'll link up to it in the show notes. And I highly encourage everyone to check it out. It's called Shy Boys IRL. And it actually became like a viral short film on YouTube. And I actually went to school with the director and knew her pretty well for a long time. She dated a good friend of ours. So I actually had hung out with her, and this was sort of like before Incels. She had made this film about shy boys, which are sort of like a subsection or like part of the larger incel community. And after that, lunatic ran over all those people in Toronto, I think.
Yeah.
Sarah, the director of this film, she was actually like brought on like Canadian television, like the CBC, to talk about incels, because she had made this film sort of documenting a shy boy, an incel, and a pickup artist in the making. Oof. Yeah, and then they're the shy boy.
The hardest game of F, Marry, Kill you could ever do.
It's actually it's actually pretty easy, because the shy boy is he was a good person.
So you'd
absolutely marry him. You'd kill the incel, and then I guess you'd have to F the pickup artist.
That would just feel the worst.
Probably, yeah.
You know that they'd wear that stupid hat.
Yeah, he had on the fedora, sunglasses, the whole deal. I guess we should maybe just briefly lay out what, for people that don't know, incels are involuntary celibates.
Of course.
I guess full disclosure, because I'm, not that I don't think there's any of my listeners are incels, but in the off chance that some of them are, or in the off chance that incels end up listening to this, I'm sure we'll get some incel hate.
I would love it. I'm not on Twitter. I've been threatening to get one because I have a lot of zany one-liners that I want to test out.
This might be your opportunity.
I think this might be my time. Yeah. This also might be a good way, if any incels are watching, to really encourage me not to get on Twitter, because I imagine that is brutal.
But, so if any incels listen to this, I'm sure they will probably, tell us how wrong we are about everything and how we don't really understand the community and whatnot. But yeah, they're involuntary celibates. There's like a whole structure behind them.
There are lots of different types of incels. There are the incels, which are just your average. Then there are mental cells, which are people that are celibate due to some kind of mental reason, autism, depression, just being genuinely a personality disorder. My personal favorite are wrist cells, which is one that I found
cells?
That is one that I found online, and there's many incels that claim that they're not really incels, but they are men that are demasculated by their weak wrists, which I can kind of sympathize. I have very weak wrists too. And
you do?
I do. Sometimes just picking up a glass of water looks funny.
Yeah. Opening a jar.
I tried screen printing and that didn't go well. Can't get an even squeegee. So yeah, no, I can, no, they're stupid still. You can't blame your problems on your weak wrists. I've tried. There are lots of there's gym cells, which is one that I discovered. People that spend all their time in gyms. Which
to, like, work out?
I think that one almost more sort of, like, they then kind of become pickup artists, maybe.
Right.
There's lots of different, very racist names for cells. There's the curry cell, the rice cell. I'm sure you can figure that one out on your own. There's...
Right, there's a lot of... And as I said, Shy Boys is sort of like another... They're I guess, just... It's not that they're involuntarily celibate, they're just so shy that, like, they can't meet a woman.
I almost don't consider them the same because I think that... What I've learned in my disgusting research on this is that I think shy boys probably want intimacy and relationships, or I think incels just want, like, a flashlight.
Fleshlight.
Oh, I'm sorry. They don't want a flashlight. Right. They want a fleshlight.
Right.
Look that up if you're concerned about the difference.
I'm sure I think the listeners probably can pick up on the difference between that. So, and this is my sort of issue with them, is that they portray themselves as, I guess to back up a little bit, incels, of course, like, can only exist in the sort of fucked up society that we find ourselves in right now. I feel like that the prominence of incels, and of course we should note, I mean, there's also this weird, I don't know if it's really like a correlation, but, you know, there are some famous mass killers, shooters, Elliot Rogers, who was in California, Southern California.
Southern California.
He was a self-professed incel.
He is like the martyr of the incel community.
Yeah, Alex Manassian, who is the guy in Canada who drove a truck or car and killed a whole bunch of people. He even wrote in his, like, manifesto stuff about, like, I don't know, free the incels or some idiotic thing like that. He was, and within the incel community, a lot of people.
From what?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'm getting that wrong.
From what?
I'm sure. I'm sure that's, like, incorrect, but
it's probably not that far off.
Yeah, exactly.
I read Rogers' manifesto, and that one, is that one's lengthy.
You know, his big fan of Song of Ice and Fire. So make of that what you will. But they develop this, like, weird complex where they are the, quote, perfect gentleman. And Elliot Rogers talked about that over and over again, that they're, like, the perfect gentleman and that they're doing everything right, and that it's the Chads of the world who are the hyper sexual macho guys that basically get all of the Stacys of the world, which are the, like, super sexual, hot girls, I guess, is like to use.
Those are the only two options we have in humanity, by the way, are Chad, Stacey, and I guess then incels.
Well, yeah, and then, but there's something about their whole outlook on life that seems so, I mean, forgive me but, like, so 2018, it's like, there's something about this, again, they think that it's them against the world, that the incels are they throw out all these crazy statistics about, like, there's, only, like, 20% of, or no, what is it? Something crazy, like only 20% of men actually have sex with, like, the 80% of women.
Well, they also have this kind of crazy idea that this is some kind of new phenomenon, which it's not. They always have existed. They just became monks or hermits or, died young because of their weak wrists. Like, it's not that they're this new thing. I think that they just have the internet, and I think with the internet comes incels as also a response of the internet having kind of this new wave of feminism, this sort of community of people that are alt-right. It's sort of, anyone can kind of make a community on the internet, and they've just attached themselves to it. Because they wouldn't have maybe had these kind of groups before.
Well, and
organized groups before.
Yes, definitely. The only sort of like disagreement I would have with you there about monks is that monks do contribute something to. They probably. I'm sure some of them are. I mean, those monasteries are probably, it's like
disgusting.
Being in the Navy or something like that. But monks did contribute something
to society. Absolutely. Yeah, it's unfair to put, because
incels don't really contribute anything.
No, that's their outlook on life is the black pill outlook, which is sort of a bit of a dated Matrix reference. So instead of the blue pill or the red pill, you take the black pill, which is just you've accepted that everything is against you, that there's no point, and to lay down and rot, which is a common term that I found on incel.me.com, which is
a cesspool of...
Truly, I've never had to take a shower so much after reading on the internet. But they just sort of believe that there's no point in living, there's no point in any of this, there's no point in contributing, because you're worthless, you are meaningless, which I think, if anything that I've taken out of it, is that the incels are just an internet death cult.
Yeah.
I think that's what they really are, is just a death cult, and but
there's something that sort of like, I don't even really want to say nihilism, but like this sort of like
misanthropy.
Yeah, and just nihilism. Like or like complete and utter apathy towards everything.
Yeah.
Like that seems very seems really like a comment on society at large here, like there's something, this like miasma around like in the US, it's like nothing is good. And again, this, the always sort of falling back on this, like, we're this, of course it's like incels they're all basically white guys. There are others, but predominantly white guys, white suburban guys who grew up not rich, but certainly not poor.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're really poor, you don't have time to worry about.
Yeah. There's not a lot of adversity that I notice.
No.
It's sort of people that have had every option, and I feel like those are sometimes the people that are the most kind of complain. They're the people that complain the most, people that they haven't actually had anything taken away from them or have to work on anything, so that the fact that they have nothing and that they're losers that like live with their parents, it has to be the world's fault. It can't be their fault.
Right. Well, that's the thing. There's always this sort of, not like necessarily dark conspiracy, but there's something that is causing them to have this existential crisis. That it's the feminists are part of it, but at the same time, they sort of, this is where I get kind of confused. One is that they consider themselves to be the perfect gentlemen that are getting walked all over, which is like, being a quote perfect gentleman, whatever the hell they think that means, doesn't entitle you to anything. Like everyone should be a gentleman. Yeah. Like everyone should be nice to one another. Just because you hold the door for a woman when you're coming to work.
You don't.
Yeah, I know, exactly. They don't really. No, of course not. But they think that entitles them to something. And this is what I find so funny. They reject this whole, multiculturalism to a degree. They are super racist, a lot of the incel community. It's like racist and all this stuff. Yet they consider themselves to be like the most oppressed minority in America or in the world at large. And there's like this weird thing where like, you'll see them like ranting and raving about, the welfare system and all this other stuff.
But then at the same time,
they want sexual welfare.
They want sexual, socialism. They want, or which is not socialism, they want sexual slavery.
Right.
Or what I think what would make them happy and is just sex bots.
So here's the big
because they hate
debate.
Women too much to actually want to be with women, and even I don't even know if they like, they complain about the Stacys all the time, but then they hate, like, they're complaining about them because they're not having sex with them, but then if they were, they would just be disgusting sluts. There's this disgusting term they have called roasties, which refers to a woman's labia after
they've got this real obsession with, it's a weird, sorry to butt in, because I just wanted
I have to finish this
No, definitely, but I just want to say, in the documentary Shy Boys IRL, which I'll say, it's directed by Sarah Gardef, I think, or Gardef. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. But one of my alum at Purchase College. There's a sequence in the film where they're in a hotel and Sarah's asking them these questions, and they're all disgusted. At vaginas. Yeah. Like, they can't actually look at pictures. And the pickup artist in waiting is like, he thinks it's gross. Like, he thinks they're disgusting. He can't look at them. I mean, of course, he's never actually seen a real one, even though he spends his time criticizing all the other guys. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have teeth, they are terrifying.
But that's like that weird thing where it's like, they put this thing on a pedestal, It's like I'm going to be just super crude here, but, it's a show with you, so I feel like we get crude, but it's like, all they want is pussy. But the thought of it is actually, like, revolting to them.
Oh, totally. And it's like, I'm sorry, guys, but, like, you can't get our sweet trim if, like, you are disgusted by it.
I know. Well, anyway, continue about roasties, and then
on the topic of roasties, so it refers to the way that a woman's labia would look after many, many, partners. And
it's a nice way of putting
it. All of their lovers that they have. But apparently, if they're just stick with one, sort of forced monogamy, which we will get onto soon, then it doesn't happen, which, I mean, is insane.
Well,
that is this craziest logic. And it makes no sense. And
how would a woman's roasties be any different if she had 50 partners versus one partner that she had sex with like 1,000 times? You know what I mean? Like, however much sex she's having with multiple people, if it was with one person.
I'm not a mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that those numbers don't add up.
Yeah.
It's so gross. And they call, which I don't know if you have watched, but I'm sure some listeners, probably any listeners we have in England, are well aware of this, but I have been obsessed with this show, which is an incel nightmare, Love Island, which is this wonderful British dating show.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Love Island is, if you were not really sure of the definition of a Chad and Stacey, I would say Love Island is a good place to start.
Is that like, do incels talk about it, or?
I don't think they talk. I mean, I think they would it would upset them deeply to see all of these hot sexed up Brits just,
well, and
get it on.
So again, I know, I'm sure we're kind of jumping all over the place, but this is such a weird topic. It's like hard to sort of dive into it. But again, they vilify Stacys, these idealized nymphomaniacs.
Just completely unrealistic.
Oh, of course. Like, these people don't really exist. I mean, of course there are some women like that, just like there are men that are Chads, I guess.
Oh, totally.
But either way, this is the weird thing. They vilify the Stacys for going with the Chads, and they want to get with the Stacys. But at the same time, they like you said, they hate them.
Women.
They're like sluts. Like, so it's sort of like, what do you want? I mean, if an incel had a relationship with a Stacey, they would probably be bad-mouthing her behind her back because she'd be an idiot and this and that and the other thing.
And the thing that any incels are listening, like, I hate to tell you this, but seriously, it takes, like, not a lot. Like,
well,
that's the minimal amount of effort to, like, get into a girl's pants.
Well, no, and that's the the craziest part of this.
Amount of effort. Like, it just starts with getting out of bed. But, like, that's a start, guys.
No, I know. And when you watch, like, videos of these, like, pathetic losers, I'm sorry, going on and on about it. And I guess it's like, they are trying. They claim that they're trying, but this is my theory, is that they're actually just the most uninteresting, nasty, boring people in the entire world. That's why they're not getting laid. It's not because they're always talking about, I'm unattractive.
None of them look like anything.
There's a guy, one of the most, like, just insipid, like reprehensible people in Shy Boys IRL. He says that he would go to Afghanistan in the front lines and come and have his arms and legs blown off if he could come back and be guaranteed sex with a 300-pound fat chick, as he put it. It's like, it's not that difficult.
No!
It's not that difficult.
Also, this is the real kicker that I discovered, is that then you're thinking, a rational person thinking, all right, so like you don't want to put the effort, you don't want to actually like, do the few steps to get on Tinder or whatever, hire a prostitute. But that's the other thing, they hate sex workers.
Yeah.
Because they think they're roasties, obviously.
Totally roasties, yeah.
Horrific. So they hate them. So you can't have it both ways.
Right.
I would almost be fine if, like, fine, I'll just get a prostitute and have, like, they're offering a service, and as long as you treat them well, like, you pay them, they do their thing, that's a service that they're offering, but they don't even want that. So I just can't bear listening to them complain. No,
they're the most insufferable people on the planet.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying, this debate over, like, would they actually want a sex bot? Because I don't even know if they would, because it's the whole, this entitlement, this, like, I deserve to have nonstop sex with Stacys because I'm the perfect gentleman, and because I deserve it because, I'm an ugly loser who's at home. Yeah. Like, there's this weird mindset to it. So I think they almost wouldn't want sex bots because that's like, that's like too easy. It's like, get a fleshlight, hire a prostitute, join another internet forum, like where you can find people. Totally. It's like that. I mean, and seriously, in this day and age, there's no excuse that you're not dating someone.
There's absolutely
it's so
excuse.
Easy.
Yeah.
You can meet people. It really is.
Well, I mean, I'm single, fellas.
Yeah, and if there's any incels listening.
That is kind of one of my fantasies, is to like de-radicalize someone or radicalize them with my like
deprogram an incel.
Yeah, like maybe not incel. I feel like
Shy boy.
I feel like it's more like someone maybe like really like on the border of like they could be like really racist or like super Zionist, and then I like de-radicalize or radicalize them
with your roasty.
With my roasty, yeah. With my roasty. That's actually where this movement is going to take women.
But no, it kind of boggles my mind the mental gymnastics that they go through,
and
because it's like
the hatred that they have towards women too is that they hate feminism and women so much, and they think that that's why they're not. It's because they believe that women are deciding all these things, and they want
women are having sex with multiple men because it's their right.
And they also have this crazy worldview that it's the women that are in charge of everything, which is not. But in a world where men would be in charge of everything, which exists, they're still not number one. Like, it still would be the Chads. Like, the term that they use, which I actually love and have been adopting, is the beta males.
Yeah, you're right.
It's so good, actually. Like, sometimes
but some incels aren't even beta. Some of them are like omega males.
Yeah, but it's still in a society where men were in charge of everything. It's still the alphas. The betas are still not going to get pussy. Like,
but at the same time, I feel like there is also like there was like I think it was like on the cover of like either Vanity Fair or like the Hollywood Reporter, and it was the cast of Silicon Valley, and it was like Rise of the Beta Male. Oh,
I know, they are on the rise, and it is disgusting.
Yeah, and of course Alex Jones was like, you see what they're doing, they're making the frogs gay, the beta males are gonna come in, it was like this whole, again, he's like this whole plot.
I miss hearing his voice so much.
I know, yeah, since he's gone.
Yeah,
I mean, he's still there, you just have
around. I know, but like you have to do digging and like.
Well, you have to go to InfoWars.
Yeah, I don't know if I think
he's still on Periscope or maybe not, because I think that's owned by Twitter.
Periscope is.
Oh, Emma, get with the program. We'll
Wait, is that
tell
the one
you
where you just like live stream everything?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually think that watching him live stream his life would either be really amusing or one of the most depressing.
It is pretty depressing.
Like him with like no shirt on, like.
Where he's just like unraveling faster than an incel at a Stacey convention. Well, I guess I don't know, that might be the extent of our incel, because I mean it's just sort of like, where do you go when you're that?
Well, if you're an incel here's our little segue. I think what you need is a good daddy. And you need a daddy like Dr. Jordan Peterson to tell you, A, to stand up straight. And I think...
Clean your room.
Clean your room. Good advice. And also forced monogamy.
Does he really believe in that?
Yeah.
No.
He talks about it. Ugh. Yeah, he talks about it a lot. And he talks not so much about, it would be like a societal change of forced monogamy. I hope I'm not quoting him wrong. I don't truly care if I'm quoting him wrong. But he appeals to these kind of incel... I think people that maybe are on the border. I feel like
he's
incels.
More in he appeals more to like the pickup artists, like men's rights people.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he is also kind of Jordan Peterson used to wear the fedora on like the public access thing. Yeah. And I know you wanted to segue and talk a little bit about Jordan Peterson. I mean, I never talk about him on the show because he's such an insufferable person, but we can.
I wish I could do frog voice better.
What's frog voice?
His just voice.
Oh yeah.
His voice and like when he just is like, oh, he's wearing denim and sneakers in interviews. You just want to punch him in the face.
What do you make of the sort of like rise of Jordan Peterson as a woman? Let's get the female perspective.
As a Stacey, I would say, I think that he is a response to, and I don't think it's I think he's a response to other people on sort of the other side being on the internet. It's everyone's yelling, and I think he's sort of a response to these sort of kind of neoliberal feminists that are on Twitter and that are in universities. And not that everything that goes with that is maybe wrong, but it is a response to it. And it is, I think he's also a contrarian. And I think he also, I don't actually know if he believes in half the stuff he says, but I do think that it is a response to kind of a shift in gender dynamics, kind of the first one in a very long time.
Yeah, see, because I find him much like most of the people on like the alt-right, or even in like the more like just straight right wing, but Jordan Peterson would call, he would call Rachel Maddow a far left. Activist. Yeah. Like that term is sort of like lost all meaning. Like
absolutely.
when like Nancy Pelosi is part of like the far left.
She's not an activist.
Like, not even activist, but they say like far left, politician. It's like
no, she's not.
Run of the mill Democrats. Yeah. No. But I feel like he is sort of that like reaction
definitely
to like you said, this sort of like like whiny liberal feminist professors.
Totally, absolutely.
Who are also so vastly out of touch with like reality.
They are. They're both, and they're like, I think the thing is that if you just put them in a room together, they'd realize that they just are absolutely on kind of the same page of just being completely out of touch and delusional about. And I love we just don't know if women can work with men because it's only been 40 years in the workforce. So we just don't know the rules, which is so, I guess.
And he's like married and has a daughter.
I know. He has a granddaughter that he's always posting these weird photos on his Instagram with.
But have you looked into at all his daughter, Michaela Peterson?
No.
So she's the one you should look into. There's
she's got some daddy issues.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But she's the one that, like, kind of started this whole, like, carnivore diet craze.
I love his diet.
So she's the reason he does only meat and salt, as he told Joe Rogan. She got him into that.
Okay.
And if you, like, listen to, this is the thing that, to kind of, like, link the two together, I find that Jordan Peterson, to me, feels like the incel that got out.
Yeah, the incel that made
because he is obviously like a dork and a nerd and like definitely
hate dorks.
Yeah, but he has that kind of like a thing to him, kind of maybe a little bit introverted or something. And he also, like so many of these incels, when you listen to Jordan Peterson, like if you can sit through his interview with Joe Rogan, I don't know. It's not that I ever really promote Joe Rogan, but Sometimes he is really fun to listen to, but it's like Jordan Peterson. He's like that kid you knew in school that was like always had a runny nose, always whining. He lists this
probably
like
ate paste.
And he lists this litany of like, Joe, I had this disorder and this disease, and my hair was falling out, and I was depressed all the time. He goes through this like, and the same thing with his daughter. His like daughter Michaela's she's had her hip replaced. She's like, I don't know, not even 30.
Sometimes I think the Spartans had it right.
Well, but that's what's so funny. Those are the people that like would have been weeded out by like the the alpha males.
I guess that's sort of like the problem of, the world that we live in is that everyone has a chance.
Kind of, right. But I find, Jordan Peterson, he's like all these like physical ailments and whatnot. And now, he's on this like carnivore, hyper masculine diet. And suddenly, he's like Superman.
Yeah.
Even though, there's no way he must take a shit like once a month on that diet. Yeah, there's no way. All he eats is like meat and he won't. This is the thing too. He won't even eat chicken or fish or pork. It's only beef. It's only like beef and salt.
Well, it's a good, strong, manly protein.
But it's like, it's got to be like going to the bathroom. It's going to be like glass coming out. It's going to hurt so bad.
He's probably just listening to this because he definitely gets an alert every time his name is mentioned. And he's just listening to this angrily, trying to take a shit.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, he's the incel that got out. He's that like dorky loser kid who was always sick. Sucked at sports, but somehow made it in. He's elevated himself, and he has that same anger where it's like, are you ever in a good mood?
No. I also have a theory that he probably had an overbearing mother that wore a lot of lipstick and would kiss him a lot, and that has something to do with his deep hatred of women at the workplace.
Oh, yeah, when he talks about like, I love to in that. That interview where he's like really going on about women, and he says like, women wear rouge. It's like, what year is this? It's just like, who the hell says rouge?
Their corsets keep their
it's
bosoms
such
up.
I wish I could do a better Jordan Peterson.
I know, it would be such a great thing to do. But I guess it's not a skill I would necessarily use often.
I don't know. I think I would if I could do a really good Jordan Peterson. Impersonation, I do it all the time. I'd call into places as him. But is there anything else you want to hit on specifically about Peterson and incels?
I feel like there's always
because what I find fascinating is this idea that this is like really kind of like a symptom, like a larger symptom of like the society that we're in, where suddenly you can have this internet group, which we should point out that the person that coined the phrase incel is a woman.
Yes.
Which is so great, because it's like, even that they couldn't do.
Oh, I know.
They couldn't even do that.
They can't even create their own goddamn movement. Like, they had to have someone else do it.
Which I'm sure if you get into like those like, some deep incel forums, it's like, they probably hate that. It's like, again, it's part of the conspiracy that a woman created it.
We couldn't even do this ourselves. Yeah.
Which is totally true. It's like, you probably couldn't. You're like that lame of a individual. But there's this, it's just sort of this, again, like this like rise of these people that like and again, it's this weird like marginalization that they feel.
Well, I think that we are living in this kind of, how would I put it?
Almost like a
time where everyone has a story to tell, and everyone's story is supposed to be valid and important, and everyone has to. I think that's like one of the things that I find so infuriating about Me Too is that like it's just sort of like advertising your victimhood and sort of like getting points is like, well, something horrible happened to me. I need to I need to hold the whole world hostage while I tell people that. And I think that goes to a lot of parts of society where I think it's why we have people like Trump in office, is all of these people that felt like no one was listening to them. Well, now I have this. All of these people on the internet. Well, I have been, a victim, or I have been, a victim of women not wanting to sleep with me. And not that the people that have adversity shouldn't speak out, they should, but it's this sort of, like,
it's like a commercialization.
It's a commercialization, and it's sort of like, is there no privacy? Is there no... I think it's also, like, people that have a lack of intimacy, they use then the internet as...
Well, it's like a way to achieve intimacy.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because I feel like incels don't even... Do they even want intimacy with a woman?
I don't know, because I think that would disgust them.
Yeah.
I don't think they really would.
Which sort of is one of my problem. My main problem with them is that I feel like they don't even really know what they want.
No.
Because, even if you were to give them their ideal version of a woman, I don't even think that they would truly find them interesting. Like,
no,
which is so weird, because, like, they'll attack too the, like, I forget the term for the, like, lesser states. Becky. They'll attack Becky. And it's like, all right, listen, not that, like, you should never feel like there's, like, a man or a woman is, like, out of your league. But, yeah, okay, listen, sometimes, they just are out of your league. Like, not even out of your league, like, they're just not into a guy like you. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, again, there's nothing wrong with Stacys and Chad's procreating. But they have this, like, aversion to Becky.
They do have an aversion to Becky, and I think there is two sides to that. Like, as a great line from Vanderpump Rules, hot people are attracted to other hot people.
Right.
That's true. But also, look at, like, gross craps like Woody Allen. He got with his, like, hot daughter. Like, if like, people, like, that's, what works, guys? Being funny. Being rich.
Actually being a nice person. Not this, like... I'm a gentleman. Like, and what does that mean? Like, they never define that. They just say, I was a perfect gentleman to her and she brushed me aside. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I for the longest time thought, I'm never going to, like, date someone again. Mm-hmm. Now I have a serious girlfriend.
Brag.
No, but you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, it's like, you
Pierce wants everyone to know he has
No. I'm just saying, it's like, as an example of that, it's like, everyone is capable of finding someone. Yeah. I had reserved myself to being like, oh, whatever, I'm never really going to find someone that, like, I truly click with.
Yeah,
and
totally.
then it happens.
Yeah.
Like, and the other thing, too, with these incels, there's no adult incels. There's all these fucking little kids. It's like,
totally.
Dude, you haven't spent enough of your life.
One of the biggest questions that I have is, where are the parents? Like, where are the mothers of incels? Like, I wonder if it is some, like,
they probably hate their own mothers.
They definitely hate their own mothers.
Or they definitely want to fuck them.
Or they want to fuck their mothers. Oh, man, what a, like, horrible, those are your only options. You either hate your mother or want to fuck your mother.
No, I mean, there's some serious Freudian...
Yeah, like, because I wonder, like, have you ever had a sister or a mother? Because if you just are even around a woman enough, I think you'll realize that they're not, just obsessed with, like, having sex with anything with a pulse and shopping. Like, that is, like, a very small part of being a person.
And they're not all, like, college, pseudo-lesbian, vegan, white girls with dreads. Like, that doesn't exist either.
No, like, that's, like, your two options, like, these limited options are so crazy, where there's gotta be, I think it is just, if you aren't around enough people, which is what I wonder, like, where are the people... They clearly don't have friends, but, like, where are their families? Because I know they're living with some of them.
Some of them are, but then you also get, like, these incels that are neats, and for any of my listeners that aren't big anime fans, NEET stands for not in education, employment, or training, which is, I know it's like it was originally coined in the UK, but it is like a phenomenon in Japan. Sort of, and it sort of is, runs parallel a lot of time with, hikikomori, who are people that never leave their house, which is like another weird phenomenon in Japan. But, like, in Japan, NEETs are basically employed by their parents. And a lot of incels refer to themselves as NEETs, which is no surprise, because I'm sure a lot of them are on, like, weird 4chan anime message boards.
That's another thing doing some of this research, I had to sort of, like, stop. We were supposed to do this last week, but I just stopped because I kept on, like, seeing incel phrases everywhere. Like, every time I'd watch, you know, my trashy reality shows, I'd be like, oh, total beta. Or, you know, that's a Stacey. But also the design aesthetics of 4chan and Reddit and, like, incel.me.com. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure, but that's how I've been referring to it in my
or
head.
incel.me.
Yeah. .org. But it's just so gross. It's so nasty that, ugh. Yeah,
well, this is the thing, though. I feel like so many of these incels describe themselves as neats, which is basically like mommy and daddy pay for everything. Oh,
sweet.
Which is, again, it's like, you have that luxury. Again, if you're really poor,
get a hooker. Have your parents pay for a hooker.
And I'm not trying to in no way, shape, or form make light of like the Elliot Rodgers thing.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously what he did is just awful and horrible. But he wasn't ugly. I mean, I found him to be like such a pretty boy.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm sorry, how are you an incel beta male?
Yeah.
Like he looked like those crappy, you know, rich kids. His dad was a Hollywood producer. He looks like one of these like crappy Hollywood kids.
Affluenza kid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, you like people can conjure up an image of who this is.
Like, I'm not at all endorsing this, but he could have bought a bag of cocaine and
obviously
threw a party.
Absolutely. That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're saying. Like, fellas, it takes so little. It takes so little effort. Like, sorry to break this bubble.
Go to a bar. Buy, you know, have a couple drinks.
Yeah.
You can meet. I mean, that's the thing. Is that it's like it's called Tinder.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's like. And the thing is that this is that weird thing too, where they bitch and moan about, you know, the Beckys and, you know, I would, you know, love a, you know, big fat girl or something like that. But you obviously don't because, you know, those people exist too. And all it takes is just like a little bit of,
there are so many weird girls out there, dude. Like,
totally.
There's so many girls that, like, would also, like, love to, like, watch anime with you and...
But like, here's the thing, though. I don't even think that they're really into... That's a problem. They're not even into anime like that. They couldn't really...
Is this just you defending your interest
but this is what I was...
Pierce is into anime, but he has a girlfriend.
No, but this is my point. Wow, you're really just laying into me on this one. This is my point. They can't even go to a forum like that, or go to a comic book convention. There's tons of like weird, dorky
girls. Those girls aren't really into it. Like they're just there because they're dumb sluts. Like,
right. No, but I mean like actual, you go to like a real, you know, convention, not like Comic-Con, but you go to like a real convention somewhere.
Okay.
You know, those people exist, but again, I think the incels are so self-absorbed. They wouldn't actually be able to talk about anime with a cute girl that they were into because all they do is spend their time on incel message boards talking to other incels.
Do you think there's any like homoerotic undertones?
Oh, 100%. That's the thing. They like if you watch some of these.
I've been wondering, is there? And I didn't find any in my research.
Gay incels?
Yeah, gay incels.
I don't think so.
Because I feel like they don't believe that women can be incels, and I think that they're probably big enough homophobes that they would just lump gay men into
I'm sure they're just like, you know, all gay men are basically just having sex, even more than Stacys, you know?
Yeah.
No, so I doubt that they would...
definitely like think it's the 70s with gay men. They're like, they're just going to bathhouses.
No, if they were... I mean, not to like stereotype, but like... If they were gay, there'd be no problem because gay people are way more accepting of like all, you know, body types and personalities. I mean, like there's so many like you know, there's bears and twinks and, you know, leather daddies and, you know, there's like so much of a community there. But again, I think the incels are so insular and they actually are truly like the dregs of society. They like if social Darwinism was something I really believed in, they should be the people that get taken out.
Or that's why like, they should be the people that would be taken out. And I argue that like, I don't think that, like what would be the harm? I don't really mean like kill them, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, just put them on an island, you know, somewhere.
Put them to like Garbage Island.
Well, but again, they truly give nothing back to society except for like hate.
Yeah, except for hate.
And like probably a big internet bill to their parents' house. Because that's really it. I mean, again, they don't work. They don't, they just hate basically everybody, except for all of these other dudes that they talk to online. I mean, that's the real thing is like, guys, just, why don't you, instead of spending all your time on these message boards and like weird, like webcam, chat rooms, why don't you just all go meet, like at a convention and just fuck each other? Because that's really what you all want to do.
And
and that's the perfect thing, because that's really what it is. They actually want to have sex like with their like mirror, clone. Like that's that's what would make them happy is to have sex with another version of themselves.
I feel like we need to like put together like that that app where people meet up for them to maybe like
what's that app where people meet up?
And it's like some website for like group like people like meeting up for like things.
Okay, nice and vague.
No, what is it? It's for like people that are into like sports or like comic books, and they like all get together. For stuff.
We'll try and find out what this mysterious app is in the second hour.
It's not an app; it's a website. But I feel like we should just like, I don't know, like rent an Airbnb for them or like a warehouse, like get some like manga porn, all of them together. Like so much Red Bull, so much Monster Energy drink, and just like let them at it. Like,
cause I think that's really that's what would make them happy, because that's the only, again, the only people they truly find interesting are the other incels, and that's like really who they want to bone. Is themselves.
But it's also in the weirdest way though. It's a truly self-hating lifestyle. Yeah, which I think it's hard to even like, would they even want to be with each other?
No, probably not. But again, this is like, not to be like super cruel, but it's like, what purpose do they serve in society? I mean, they just really, which is actually, you just mentioned the lay down rot. I mean, that is like the sad kind of scary thing, is that they openly advocate killing themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think it is just a suicide community.
It's a death cult.
It's a death cult, like advertised as like almost like a men's rights cult.
Yeah.
But in reality, what it is a way for other like-minded weirdos to talk about killing themselves.
And then they do. And they like, if you like watch some of the like mainstream journalists that have dove into the incel community, you meet some of these guys where it's like,
they call them incels,
right? Yeah, but like
men on the internet,
you'll see these it's like half of their friends have all committed suicide. Yeah. Which is actually like kind of disturbing and scary. If
friends are committing suicide, you probably need a new social group.
Yeah, exactly. And when it's like sort of no one is, again, I don't know because I'm not in it. But my sense is that, I have a girlfriend. I'm into anime and I have a girlfriend. But my sense is that, if an incel is talking about, lying down and rotting, his incels aren't going to be like, dude, you have so much to live for. Yeah. Like they're going to encourage that.
And I think that the really dangerous part too is that for a lot of these people, they maybe weren't people that would ever consider that, but then they find incel stuff, and then they have this language for these feelings that they might have deep down felt, but they couldn't have articulated. And I noticed the more I was researching incels, the more that, I was like thinking about these terms and like using them in day-to-day life. And I think that it's giving this language and this sort of excuse for things where maybe before you could have said like, well, I'm depressed. Maybe I need help. Maybe I can talk to someone. Where now it's, you're depressed. You're always going to be depressed. Lay down and rot. I think that there are a lot of people that maybe if they didn't find out about this, they could have productive lives.
Yeah, I think that
there's so much, almost this weird sort of shame about them not being an incel that they're not going to try to get
Which is even more disturbing that they encourage this behavior. It's like that's the thing. The worst type of person to an incel, more than a Stacey or a Chad, are the incels that got out and got a girlfriend. Yeah. Like those are they're traitors. Yeah. Then that's how they talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up right now on the break, so please stay tuned. We probably won't be talking about incels in the second hour, but I am joined by my sister Emma, and we'll be talking to you very soon.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American.
It's practically narcotic.
Freedom.
Oh, yes, I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
Since the beginning, civilizations have risen and fallen. Rome, ancient Persia, Mongolia, Britain, and now America. Befallen by natural disasters, broken families, moral decay, lack of preparedness and conflict. Don't let this happen to you. Are you prepared? Would you like to help others prepare? AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com is looking for distributors. Email bugoutamerica@usa.com. Go to AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com, a veteran-owned and operated company. But do it today.
And I hope people support American Freedom Radio. And I hope people vote with their dollars and really understand the value of having American Freedom Radio. Because that's my family. If you love me at all, Jack Blood, support American Freedom Radio. Like, my family has literally disowned me. American Freedom Radio, Danny and Don and those guys, those are my actual family. So please support these guys, because they have all the technology, they have all these great things that they're going to do, but obviously they can't do it all by themselves. So not only would I like to see you support them, I'd like to see you retweet them and repost them and really get involved and get on the bandwagon, so to speak, on doing that do-it-yourself promotion, because they're a do-it-yourself radio network, and we just need that so much.
And when we're not invading some sovereign nation or setting it on fire from the air, which is more fun for our Nintendo pilots, then we're usually declaring war on something here at home. Did you ever notice that about us? We love to declare war on things here in America. Anything we don't like about ourselves, we declare war on it. We don't do anything about it. We just declare war on it. It's the only metaphor we have in our public discourse for solving problems, declaring war. We have to declare war on everything. We have a war on crime, the war on poverty, the war on litter, the war on cancer, the war on drugs. But you ever notice we got no war on homelessness? Huh? No war on homelessness. You know why? There's no money in that problem. No money to be made off of the homeless. If you could find a solution to homelessness where the corporate swine and the politicians could steal a couple of $1 million each, you'd see the streets of America begin to clear up pretty quick. I'll guarantee you that. I will guarantee you that.
You're listening to AmericanFreedomRadio.com, the network who perseveres in delivering intelligent debate, constructive dialogue with true independence. The freedom to broadcast the truth is not free at all. So what is American Freedom Radio worth to you? The empowering information with fun, honest and pure integrity behind it provides an example to follow. Friendships to flourish with the moral altruism that pulls no punches. The hosts sacrifice and show remarkable discipline in their duty to deliver quality radio in service to the community with strength, wisdom and loyalty. The founders of AFR wish to thank you personally for sharing your views and insights to make the best radio and alternative media. Now it's time for you to give something back and play a vital role in the future of America. Be as generous with us as we've been with you. Click on the donate banner at AmericanFreedomRadio.com or volunteer by emailing AmericanFreedomRadio@ymail.com. Vaccine, psychotropic drugs and artillery batteries not included.
Launch sequence initiated.
We're now in the approach phase. Everything looking good. Control is good. 5, rocket copy. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Prepare your mind to experience American Freedom Radio. Porkins Policy Radio, offering a unique perspective on everything: geopolitics, culture creation, the reality of the world we live in. Coming to you live from New York City, your host, Pierce Redmond.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to Porkins Policy Radio. I am your host, Pierce Redmond, and of course, you are listening to the show here at American Freedom Radio, AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Briefly, I also wanted to mention, because I forgot in the first hour, that if you want to support the work that I do, then you can always send a donation or a repeat donation as well to American Freedom Radio, and you can find that at AFR's website. You just click on donate. And of course, if you want to support me specifically, then you can always go to patreon.com/Pierce Redmond, and you can become a subscriber for as little as $1 a month, which of course gives you access to the bonus podcast. And there are other levels to Patreon, and I know that nobody really seems to be going for. I mean, some people do go for the higher level ones. I mean, I think the real reason is that I am not offering good rewards. So I am working on changing the reward system and giving people a little bit more reason to give me maybe say, $5 or $10 a month. So I am a
little skin.
Yeah, I might show a little skin. Maybe do a free web chat or something. So that is in the works. And also, I just wanted to mention that I am going to be doing a question show sometime soon. Probably not next week, but maybe the week after that. The first week in October, I might do a question and answer show. So I've already gotten a whole bunch of great questions. You can send them to me, through email. You can also send me Patreon messages. There's a messenger program on Patreon. So if you want to send them to me that way, that's always good. And if you want to send them on Twitter, that's great as well. And I've been telling people to use the hashtag PPR questions if you want to send me any questions. So I'm open to answering pretty much anything on the show, and I've got some great questions. Some that you'll probably you'll have guessed. That there's some questions that I think will be obvious to some of the listeners, but some other really interesting ones. It's also, if you want to send me a comment, if you don't like something I said, or you want me to clarify something, that's also welcome. So please do send them in soon, because I'm going to be doing a big show answering all the questions. But anyway, enough of me rambling. I am still joined in studio by my sister, Emma Redmond, of EmmaRedmond.com, and also, hopefully, I mean, if you pay that bill.
I just have to pay it. It's been the email keeps on coming up and I ignore it, but.
Yeah, well, they're going to keep coming until you pay that bill. And of course, of previous episodes, we were discussing in the first hour incels. I think I said before we actually started recording that I could not do more than an hour, and I think I'm going to stand by that.
Okay.
And
yeah, I know.
I mean, did you have any final thoughts?
No.
Yeah.
No, I think that we said what we needed to say. I don't think that anyone's going to still wonder what an incel is.
No, or why you should despise them.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, though, I really want a Patreon for myself.
Yeah, you can make one.
But, like, I don't think I don't really do enough. Like, it's not like I have a show. I just want people to, like, be like, hey.
Yeah, but you could also set it up where, you know, people are donating, but you don't charge them until you create a product.
Okay.
So it could be like, you know,
yeah,
I don't know,
no, I think I just want it for, like, grocery money.
I mean, you could, yeah, well, why don't you just get a GoFundMe?
I could just do a GoFundMe.
I mean, it seems like everybody and their mother's got a GoFundMe for something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do technically have to really kind of produce something on Patreon of something of value.
What I really want is, and I don't know how, like, these girls get it, but I want, like, a cash slave. Just some guy, like, that lives in another country that, like, sends me money.
I think it's called being a webcam model.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes they don't even have to do that. They just, like, call them, like, trash, and then they, like, get money, and I would love to do that.
You could, you know, if you got into video games, you could be like a Twitch, you know, like the Twitch people.
No, I think I know what they are.
Twitch it's like a streaming service. Basically, you watch people play video games,
so sad.
Which is such a weird concept.
But, like, would they watch me play solitaire, like video solitaire?
Probably.
Tetris?
I'm sure you could play Minesweeper for hours on end. Yeah, I mean, it's like you could do basically, I think, anything on Twitch.
I feel like I would play just, like, hours of... Last time I think I played a video game was maybe Crash Bandicoot, and I think that I would just play hours of that.
But you totally could do that.
I could totally
You just need, like, a little webcam or something so that they can see you while you're playing.
Okay.
I think that's... I mean, I don't really know Twitch that well, but that's the...
You have a girlfriend?
Yeah, I got a girlfriend, so I don't really know about Twitch. Although, this is, like, totally off topic, but I'm planning on getting a PlayStation 4 soon.
Oh, really? I didn't. Yeah. I thought they were, like, past 4. I thought they'd be, like, PlayStation 20 by now.
No, I think there's going to be a PlayStation 5 in maybe, like, 2 years.
Okay.
But PS4 has got a great library. I played it recently at a friend's house upstate, and it was great, and I just want to get one now.
For, like, a hot minute, I thought about getting a DS again, because
there's a Nintendo Switch, which is kind of cool. You might like that.
I think I want, like, the one that I had in, like, 2007.
Right.
Like, that's the one that I want. I want the one game I had, which was, I think, Super Mario Brothers. And
yes.
I had a really fun Mario racing game.
Yeah, Mario Kart.
And, yeah, that's really all I want to play.
I mean, you could do that. That's always possible.
No, I know. It's one of those things, like, I don't play video games. I like to, you know, I have other things I do.
But if you want to make that money.
But if I want to make that money.
Well, you know what? I brought up the PS4.
Sex work just seems easier than that.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, then what? You sitting at home playing Crash Bandicoot for hours on end?
No, they both sound miserable.
Well, so we'll get off the video game conversation in a second, but I brought it up too because there's they remastered.
Maybe in your question and answer, if someone has, like, a good suggestion of, like, a Patreon, hack
that's
for
a good
me to
one.
Get onto.
Yeah,
I think I would give great advice.
Yeah, well, you could. I mean, that's something you could always have, like an advice column or some sort of, like, vlog where you give advice. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. So maybe we'll. I
mean, if like magazines can make up horoscopes, I could make up.
Maybe we'll get you a show on AFR. If you could fill a 2-hour slot, then you're good. I was gonna say they remastered. I think it's like the first 3 Crash Bandicoots for PS4, including the one you like,
that's the best
Back in Time one.
My
yeah.
God.
So when I get it, maybe you can come over. We'll play it, and we'll start a Twitch account.
Yeah, no, I think that...
We do a brother-sister Twitch account. Who wouldn't love that, you know?
It's like a family-friendly Twitch account.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, let's get off this topic a little bit, and maybe we'll move on to some more serious stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the news. I know you said you wanted to talk about the Asia Argento thing a little bit, and I covered it a couple episodes back, and maybe we kind of just, if you wanted to just give me your quick thoughts on that, because that I characterized it as really like showing the complexity of sexual abuse, where there really isn't like there's no easy answer to whatever that thing is. And I kind of personally, I find Asia Argento to be a bit creepy.
I actually knew about her before. I don't think she was as famous, but I really liked one of her movies, which I think she made when she was very young. And that one is, you can watch, it's called Scarlet Diva, I believe. And in that one, you can see a scene that is the wine scene. Right, yeah. There is like a character that does it. And I think I liked her because she just seemed like a really weird, kind of, this sort of like weird kind of fringy actress. And I think what her appeal was is that I didn't know much about her.
No, because it's like the more you learn about her.
You know about these people. Even like Rose McGowan, I loved Charmed, for all of you girls out there. And 2 or 3 gay men loved Charmed. It was a great show. I can attest
to that.
Yeah.
I might have seen almost every episode.
I don't think that maybe, as much as I love Charmed, I think you might have hated Charmed.
Oh, with a passion. It's probably my least favorite show.
You know, I loved her on that. And then, you know, she like disappeared, and it's like, cool. Like, I think that's all of these like women that I think are kind of, like, disguising themselves as victims. They are, I think that Asia Argento, I can understand maybe a victim victimizing someone. It does contextualize it a little bit, but maybe you shouldn't have made yourself the face of a movement if you knew you were compromised. That's just stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's like the Rose McGowan thing. Mm-hmm. You know, she was in some movie directed by that guy Victor Salva, who he did like the Jeepers Creepers movies. He went to jail for molesting and raping a kid, like basically on camera in a movie that Francis Ford Coppola produced, and then Coppola went on to produce all of his subsequent films. Yeah. And Rose McGowan is super cagey when people ask her about that, but it's like, you know, again, it's not discrediting what happened to her, but it's like, did you have a problem with Victor Salva?
I think a lot of it
he did Powder too. Remember that movie Powder?
No.
About the kid he's like all white and he has like telekinesis.
Like vaguely.
Look it up. But yeah, Victor Salva is like a real monster.
Yeah. I think that it's also a lot of women that are saying this now, and obviously they're saying it now because their careers have taken off, but they're saying it in a place of luxury where they're older, and it's sort of like, now you're doing it.
I don't know. I mean, to play devil's advocate, though, they'd be like, you know, I was terrified. I mean, because that's like the excuse that men always use. Like, you're using it now. You know,
it's just a little bit like, I don't know. I think that you should really be careful about becoming a voice of something if you yourself are compromised and there are certain things in your past, like having sex with a teenager, which, again, I also, like, I don't know. Like, I don't really
even his thing.
I find it a little cagey. I don't really...
I wonder what I would love to know the full details of his...
And I think also he is saying that also as being someone, like, who the hell is he? Like, I've never heard of him. Like, I knew he was in a movie. If he made it, do you think he would have accused her?
I don't know. I mean, again, that's the whole blaming the victim thing. Yeah. I think it is creepy that she used this weird mother-son thing, possibly. Like, I mean, it's like she's grooming him in a weird way.
Yeah.
She's
so weird.
Yeah, and and the way she's like, blames it on her dead boyfriend.
Oh, throwing your, like, beloved dead boyfriend under the bus is, like, an extra shady move. I think the main issue that I have with the Me Too movement is that it puts importance on people that already have a voice. Like, it puts this importance on, like, what's really wrong with society is how actresses are being treated. And it's like, I don't know. Like, they have support. They also have a voice. Like, all these people are saying, now I have a voice. You always had a voice. You always had access to press. Your voice is important. It's like the people that are, you know, doing your laundry or, you know, working at the nail salon or making your food. They don't have a voice. They can't be like, this director, you know, seduced me and raped me, which is horrible and that shouldn't happen. But find it kind of rich that, like, society is putting such an importance on that.
On, like, the Hollywood.
Yeah.
But of course,
like,
I mean, that's...
Like, Hollywood's always been disgusting.
Yeah, well, the casting couch has always existed.
Yeah, and yeah.
Fatty Arbuckle, whatever actually happened in that hotel room.
Just learn to play the game, girls.
That's, really great advice.
No, but I it's not the advice I'm actually giving, but it's always existed, and I think that we shouldn't... I don't think they're not the biggest victims of...
No, I would agree with you there.
Yeah.
I do find that the prominence that's placed on like Hollywood as the sort of epicenter. But you know what? As like the epicenter of this victimization. But you know what's interesting is that we are seeing now. It's like every creepy politician.
Oh, yeah.
You've got, like...
Well, that was a matter of time.
But I'm saying, I feel like it's moving... there was, like, an interview...
Because first you're going to focus on the beautiful people, and then you're going to focus on the ugly
showbiz
people.
for ugly people.
Yeah.
But, that's, like, a thing, like Terry Crews, who's, he's come forward, been super supportive of all sorts of people doing it. He was, like, I think it was on the Breakfast Club, which is, like, the radio station here in New York, and he was, like, promoting that movie... Sorry to Bother You, which I have you seen it?
It's good.
Yeah, I want to see it. He was promoting that, and it was like him, Boots Riley, and one of the other actors from the film. I think he's in that show Power with 50 Cent. And Terry Crews kind of went off on this little tangent. And he, one of the things he said was like something to the effect of like, yeah, it's Hollywood right now, but everyone's reckoning is coming.
Oh,
and it's going to be the music industry, it's going to be politics, it's going to be there's already this sort of stuff in the media, all these, Charlie Rose and Matt Lauer and there's that guy, I think it's Glenn Thrush from the New York Times, who's apparently like a real creepy motherfucker. But it's like that is one thing I think it's like jumping around because you see like what's his name, Keith Ellison, the congressman in like Minnesota, I think, right? It's like his ex-wife is. There's like police reports of him beating her. And now I was mentioning to you before we started recording Brett Kavanaugh, who's he's being he's going through his Senate confirmation hearings to become the Supreme Court justice. He's being accused by a woman who's what's her name? Professor Christine Blasey Ford, who is accusing him of physically and sexually assaulting her back in the 1980s at like a pool party when she was 15 and he was 17. Yeah, and if
nothing good ever happened at 80s pool parties where,
where
adults and teenagers were mingling
and
together.
The allegations are pretty scary. It's like Kavanaugh and his like best friend at the time, who has like since become this like weird sort of like conservative celebrity writer, who basically wrote a whole bunch of books and articles saying rape isn't real and like all of the classic like, what are you projecting here? Like what's your real fear? They were holding her down and jumping on top of her, and it sounds horrible, but it's like it seems like the Me Too thing it is reverberating out to where everyone's, and I do have some problems with that because sometimes it is like this is just an allegation.
Yes.
Like, what's the...
I think I also have less problem about sort of outing politicians, where, like, I am sort of like, celebrities are not elected officials. Like, their voice should not... like, their influence should not be what you really are super concerned about.
Yeah.
And I do think it is just... Yeah, like, I think that some of the stuff that has come from it of sort of like calling out people for just being like kind of assholes, that's I think stupid and like
well that's
wrong.
Like I keep going back to the whenever I talk about this is like the Leonard Lopate thing is what was Leonard Lopate actually accused of doing, because we didn't even hear what he was accused of. It was more like some women at WNYC said something, and then he resigned, or he was forced out.
Or even, like, I don't think it's affected him really that badly, but, like, and again, I hate Aziz Ansari. I find him, like, so annoying.
I know, he's like
he's so irritating.
He's like an incel that made it out.
Yeah, he's an incel that made it out. But I feel like I don't even, like, know what fake publication it was that did it, but, like, outing someone for being bad at sex, like, is super embarrassing. Like, I would be horrified if someone, like, went on the internet and was like, well, you know, Emma, that encounter we had, that's humiliating. And I hate that it's, like, making me defend, like, people that I find stupid like that. But that being said, I don't, like, he didn't do anything illegal. He's not a politician.
No.
He's not, like, a, you know, church leader. He's some stupid comedian that's bad at sex.
You know, but...
And you can't legislate sexuality. And if you try, it's a very dangerous...
No.
Anything someone is illegal, like, being, like, gross isn't.
No, right. Well, that's, like the whole, like, you know, South Park PC principle, like when they're, you know, afterwards when he gets the consent forms from all of them from like the night where there were, what is, smashing puss or something.
Puss.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Here's what I'll say though, in terms of with these celebrities, is that we are now in a society where celebrities like Aziz Ansari are as important, if not more important, than elected politicians.
Which is like just
people care more what he has to say on a topic than, like, I mean, that's what's sort of crazy is, like, you know, Aziz Ansari, okay, right, that the whole story, you know, people can refresh themselves. I don't even want to go into it. His career, I don't think it's over, but he certainly has disappeared from the limelight. Keith Ellison, there's almost no... There's no doubt. He beat his wife. He's still running. He's like still in a position of power.
Yeah.
Which is like it's sort of like the Roy Moore thing. I mean, he's picking up little kids in I mean, thank God he didn't win.
I know, but the fact that it was such a, like, could he have won was even an option, and that people were concerned of that, that's telling, where, like, your career will be destroyed by some, like, internet website.
But I think that's just, like, the power that we've given celebrities. Like, the power of...
I don't care about, like, taking celebrities down. Like, I don't truly. Like, I think it's just sort of, who gets to decide that is very dangerous. And I think also, not that they need protection, they don't, but I do think that they're entertainers and artists. They're not people that you should, like, that your life is depending on, that, like, that actually affect laws or how you live. They are, like, not funny comedians.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, totally. And but you've already seen people like Louis C.K. clawing his way back up.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, it's almost all male comedians that are coming to his defense.
Yeah.
Which is...
I mean, like, but I'm not gonna lie, like, I miss him. He was funny.
You see, like, I actually...
that part. I find him funny. I don't think you ever did so
Not
much.
to the degree that other people do.
Yeah.
And there's also, like, I forget what radio show it was on. It might have been, like, something like Howard Stern or Opie and Anthony.
Before.
He talked about, like, when he was, like, a teenager,
Yeah.
breaking into his neighbor's house and jerking off in her underwear.
Yeah. Oh.
That's, like...
Totally.
No, you're actually like
I do think that, like,
a predator.
I do think that there are things that he did that, like, do cross the line of, like, again, what I was saying is, like, being an asshole shouldn't be illegal. There are,
but, like, whipping it out in front of a woman?
Exposing yourself to a woman is, and I guess I think that you do have to kind of, at some point, like, sort of, you have to dissect people a little bit, and you have to kind of pick and choose, like, artist versus... like, the artist as a person and the artist as an artist. And I think that that's something that we really, really struggle with sometimes today, where we might have been able to accepted it in the past. Which I guess actually kind of rolls into, like, the next person we're going to talk about for a minute. Like, Sean Penn.
Yeah.
We knew that he, like, tortured Madonna...
Right.
In the 80s. We knew all of that. And we kind of are now sort of being like, well, that's not okay. Like...
Right, so... again, and let me just read some of Sean Penn's comments that he made to the Today Show Alongside is what's her name? Natasha McElhone. And they were promoting a film. Mm-hmm. They're like or a TV show or something on Hulu called The First, which is about like a mission to Mars. And they're there reporting it. And I mean, first off, you look at Sean Penn in the pictures in the video. It's like, yeah, he's this like haggard old alcoholic. Mm-hmm. But he said this is one of the things he said. I'm sorry, let me just scroll down. I'd like to think that none of it was influenced by what they call the movement of Me Too, he said. I think it's influenced by the things that are developing in terms of the empowerment of women who've been acknowledging each other and being acknowledged by men. This is a movement that was largely shouldered by a kind of receptacle of the salacious. And then, he basically goes on to say, well, we don't know what's a fact in many of the cases. Salacious is as soon as you call something a movement that is really a series of many individual accusers, victims, accusations, some of which are unfounded. The spirit of much of what has been the Me Too movement is to divide men and women. And then he also then went on to say, and we'll dissect that comment. He then went on to say, I'm going to say that women that I talk to, not in front of a camera, that I listen to, of all walks of life, that there's a common sense that is not represented at all in the discussion when it comes to the media discussion of it. The discussion, blah, blah. Okay, anyway, sorry, I'm trolling off there. And people can check out the interview because I'm sure my reading of the quotes was terrible.
I should have done it in his Sean Penn voice.
I know, that's one I can't master. But first off, the women that he talks to in all walks of life, when is the last time he fucking talked to a regular person?
I know.
He's such a I know, exactly. Yeah. Okay, maybe his gardener or his Honduran maid. Yeah. But again, she's going to say, whatever you say, Sean.
Or the woman that's clearly doing his fake tan.
Exactly. He doesn't talk to and that's just the classic I've talked to lots of women or I have tons of black friends.
It's
the same thing.
Equivalent.
Yeah. So it that's crazy. And then the other thing too is this it's meant to divide men and women. Mm-hmm. I mean, what about Bryan Singer is in the news again today. He's about to be given an even larger comic book franchise. Yeah. I think Red Sonja. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's raping little boys.
Yeah.
I mean, is that about or what about the Catholic Church? Is this about dividing priests and altar boys?
But I think what you're missing is that actresses are being hurt. Movie stars are being
I know, but I don't even, this whole dividing men and women, I just don't even, and for people that don't know, Sean Penn, after Madonna broke up with him, he scaled the fence of her Malibu home, broke into her home, tied her up on a chair, left to go get more booze, came back, beat her with a baseball bat, supposedly made her perform some sort of degrading sexual act so that then he would untie her. And then she ran to the cops.
Yeah.
She escaped and ran to the cops. Now, she's since denied that this ever happened, which is obviously Sean Penn is leaning on her, and there's got to be some sort of weird money thing because that guy Lee Daniels from what's that show on Fox? It's it's written and produced by the guy from Buffy, Jonathan.
Okay.
Anyway, what the hell is the name of that?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Empire.
Empire. Yeah, Empire.
Yeah, I guess when what's his name? Terrence Howard hit his wife or something, and Lee Daniels, one of the creators, who also I think did the stupid movie that Oprah produced about
about the butler,
black butler in the White House. He was it's nothing different from what Sean Penn and Marlon Brando have done. And they got into this whole legal suit where Sean Penn was saying it was defamation and blah, blah, blah. And Madonna retracted all this stuff, which is a crock of shit.
I don't think anyone really knows what actually, I believe that he tied her up and beat up Madonna. I don't think anyone should doubt that. I just don't think we know. I'm not defending him, but I'm saying is that I don't know exactly what happened, but I know that what happened was horrible and, like, definitely was illegal and assault. And it's funny how people, like, it was a known, not even a known secret, it was just a fact. That
there was a police report.
Yeah.
The LAPD was like, she had a busted lip, she was hysterical. And I'm
sure a lot of people were like, well, I mean, she probably was asking for it. It's Madonna.
Right,
like, you think Madonna, like, can't take a punch? Like, I'm sure that's what people probably thought.
Totally. But it's just like, it's just, again, it's like rich coming from him. It's about dividing men and women. It's like, you're an abuser.
Yeah.
Not to mention, too, just the most whining, whinging sack of shit. I mean, he is just like he is the archetypal Hollywood liberal.
Yeah.
He's a complete fucking joke.
Yeah.
He's actually like this, old school men, are the, women should be, silent and whatever, barefoot in the kitchen, and you can beat them.
I think he is also sort of like even Rose McGowan and Asia Argento and some of these actresses. I think that they're also of an age that is sort of shifting where I think a lot of Hollywood was talked about like in sort of decades and sections of like the old Hollywood, which was like, if all of those men were alive now, can you imagine like Frank Sinatra and like all of these guys, like they would have been Me Too'd within minutes.
Yeah.
Like it was a different time. And I think that we're now, and then there's sort of this like new Hollywood where like women were being liberated. Like they had the sexual revolution, women were being liberated, but they still couldn't say no. And they still couldn't really say no to the system. And now I think that it's shifted for good.
Yeah.
But also, I think that we need to question, like, a lot of this is also because, like, who runs Hollywood? It's men.
Yeah.
Like, if you actually probably had more women in, like, higher positions,
I get that. I also am like, I don't totally know.
Hollywood.
Yeah, I don't totally buy all of that because, like, obviously, there's a ton of women in Hollywood that are obviously covering up for all these men.
Yeah, no, women can be easily corrupted too, but I think that the atmosphere in it has changed. But I also don't care about Hollywood enough.
No, neither. And we can move on because I actually don't really. I hate Sean Penn. So this is just like another reason to dislike him intensely. I mean, there's some other stuff we want. Do you want to talk about like the Colin Kaepernick Nikes thing?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to talk about this because this is like another one that's just sort of bugging me. Is this idea that Colin Kaepernick is like Muhammad Ali because he kneels. He starts the whole kneeling during NFL games, which is fine, cool.
Is he even still playing?
Well, no, because he basically left the NFL.
Yeah.
But he started this whole thing, and for a while I was like, okay, that's really cool, that's great. And he was all about like, I'm gonna just like work on doing community stuff, and that seemed really genuine and everything. And then lo and behold, he signs this like probably multi-million-dollar deal with Nike. And is basically just like a complete and utter sellout.
Yeah. And
now you have these idiots, these like, white guys burning their Nikes basically because they hate black people. Because I guess Nikes mean you hate the flag and you hate America and the police and whatnot. They're burning their Nikes. And then at the same time, you have all of these liberals urging people to go out and buy Nikes.
Which, let's be real, the only people that Nikes are truly affecting are like the brown and black children and
that are
making them. It's this like, I mean, it really is just, money talking, where I think liberals are telling you to buy this stupid crap that you don't actually need, that you're trying to put on like some kind of political meaning to. And your money can be political, and where you put your money can mean something. But telling people to buy Nikes is not making you a freedom fighter. They're made in horrible conditions.
Sweatshops in Vietnam.
Sweatshops, and in Cambodia, and in Haiti. Like, if anyone's listened before, I truly detest fast fashion and the fashion industry, and this sort of just this globalization of, which is modern day slavery. Like, the fashion industry promotes modern day slavery, and it promotes, there's no way of, you can't, like, move up the ranks in a sweatshop.
No,
You know? Like, you start out maybe cutting the threads as a kid, and then maybe you'll get on a sewing machine. And
right,
that's
yeah,
your
it's
life.
like big improvement.
Burning these Nikes, which is probably horrible for the planet, because God knows what's in them.
Yeah, it's also just dumb.
It's stupid.
Like,
and B, it's telling people to go buy Nikes. It's whenever you watch TV,
I think that's almost even worse than the people burning Nikes are going and buying more.
Yeah.
It's like just increasing the demand for Nikes that are made in sweatshops.
Well, I mean, if you watch advertisements now, like, I am so annoyed, or not even annoyed, I just think they're dumb. These like I see them now a lot where it's like, you know, girls like doing cool stuff, like girls like, you know, boxing, or I don't know, like cutting their hair, or, you know, like they're about to speak up at like a hearing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, TJ Maxx, or,
yeah,
you know,
totally.
Dove.
No, that's just like this
Where
materialist.
It's just like, it's just like selling bottomless consumption, but it's okay because they're gonna wear a pink pussy hat while doing it.
Yeah,
so that it's completely, like, you're being fooled by massive corporations.
Totally.
To think that your voice is being heard, and it's not. Your voice is better spent actually, like, doing the research into these things that you're spending all your money on. And I mean, I would say I'm a supporter of the BDS movement. I don't buy Subrahamus or SodaStream. I don't think that makes me I'm not doing anything.
No, you're not.
I'm not
it's not like it's not necessarily like an act of resistance.
It's not an act of resistance.
I mean, the not buying, I think not buying Sabra or SodaStream is sort of an act of resistance.
I think it is.
But
I think the BDS
buying Nikes is not. It's not. You're not.
Yeah.
It's not some sort of progressive protest against racism.
Yes.
To buy Nikes that are being made by children in Vietnam.
Yeah, you're not. Like, there's a bigger, like, underlining issue, which is the global fashion industry, and maybe think about that. Like, I don't think that, it's like all of these, I think even in the election, like, all the, like, far-right people were buying New Balance.
Yeah, exactly. I think New Balance are made in America.
Yeah, which is cool, like, but, I don't think that...
Well, it's also like, I think, but wasn't New Balance like, we're not racist?
Yeah, we're not racist,
like,
yeah. I have a pair of sneakers, shout out to Vija, which is a great French sneaker company, and they're all fair trade and very responsible. If you need sneakers that aren't racist and aren't...
if you want us to sponsor the show,
if you want to
maybe
sponsor
send
the
us
show,
some free...
send us some free sneakers. Friend of the show, I'd like to thank the company. But... yeah, Nike is not your friend. None of these corporations are your friend. They don't have your best interest. If they don't even have the best interest of their workforce, what do you think they have for you? And anytime that you're being fooled, just know you're being fooled by them, and that they're using, you know, like some, you know, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar song, or some, you know, like We Are the World BS to make you buy something. It's just for your money. It has nothing deeper than that. And burning them is just as stupid.
No, it's ass backwards. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And just like as a quick follow up on that, Phil Knight, who's the founder of Nike and a billionaire and off of sweatshop labor. When, you know, he and Phil Knight has also done a lot to like silence especially like college groups that talk out about Nike and about their practices. He's done a lot to kind of shut them up and force, you know, he has a lot of sway in Oregon where Nike is headquartered. And, you know, he's had a lot of sway at like the University of Oregon, basically like shutting up student groups that are talking about Nike because he gives a lot of money to them. And I think other universities, but the University of Oregon, I think is a big one that he donates to. You know, when he, in the past, when news outlets or whatever, or human rights groups have pointed out like the abhorrent conditions in, at one point it was in South Korea, but then later in Indonesia, in China, and in Vietnam. This is not verbatim, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like, Nike doesn't make shoes, we sell shoes. Yeah. Which is like, that's his like stance.
You make shoes.
It's like, it's like, basically like we don't look into
washing your hands clean of anything by virtue of,
they don't actually make the shoes. Yeah. They're just selling the shoes. And basically he was like, we don't care what our third party manufacturers are actually doing. So he's a real nasty guy.
Call out on the show. No, and that's if you are a clothing company, your product is the clothing and the labor that goes into it. That's like saying, like, here at the Flaming Hot Cheetos factory, we don't make Cheetos, we make taste. Yeah. Like, we just make, like, no, you make the product that you're selling. You can't separate them. And once it's just not taking any responsibility.
Of course, it's like virtually all of Silicon Valley wiping their hands clean of the coltan mines in Eastern Congo. We have like warlords basically using child slavery to make iPhones and gadgets and stuff like that.
But we like really need like a new Oculus, so like
And well, I mean, I'm gonna get a PlayStation. So, I'm a big hypocrite too, but the
that's fashion industry, I think, is one that there are alternatives.
You can avoid it. Yeah, absolutely. I think electronics are impossible.
And if you're not going to avoid it, like, don't let them like
use you.
Let them use you.
Yeah, because that's the other thing too. It's like Nike or any of these companies, Apple, Sony, they don't really give a shit about you.
No.
That's what I find so insidious. And this is a good segue into probably what will be our final section, is that Nike is selling Colin Kaepernick, again, as this like Muhammad Ali figure who's standing up for what's right and, just do it. Buy Nike. Muhammad Ali, this is the thing that I is a great example. Muhammad Ali gave his medals up and was willing to go to prison because he didn't want to go to Vietnam to murder people he had never met.
Yeah.
And now Colin Kaepernick is getting you to buy shoes made probably by the children of people that lived through the Vietnam War. I mean, like, that's what's so fucking insidious about this whole thing. But again, Nike is using Colin Kaepernick and using this whole, like, taking a knee at the NFL games and to sell, frankly, crappy, shittily made products. I mean, Nike shoes I've had lots of Nike shoes. They fall apart eventually. They're not that well made.
Like a good quality shoe is like an orange Croc.
Yeah, exactly. That will last forever.
That'll last forever.
But
official shoe brand of Mario Batali.
And then you've got all of these yahoos that are like, well, he's not standing up during the national anthem, even though these fat pigs are sitting on their asses at home. Or the only time they get up during the national anthem is to get another beer. Yeah. They're not standing up at home. It's like when you stand up at home, then okay, fine. Then all NFL players should stand up.
You're
but they don't even.
A weirdo. Oh yeah.
But here's my thing is that Colin Kaepernick, or the reason that NFL players are still taking a knee, is because the cops are killing people, mainly Black and Latino, or people of color. And this is still going on. And I think Colin Kaepernick basically doesn't really give a shit anymore, and that's why he's making this multi-million-dollar...
I don't think he doesn't not give a shit. I think that, like...
I think he's willing to sell out for...
Yeah.
He's willing to take blood money from other oppressed people in order to help oppressed people here, which is not... That's not actually progress.
It's not. I think that money is... Like, I think that we're living now in a time where it's hard to get your voice heard without sort of the backing of money, which is wrong. And there are people, obviously, that don't do it. But, yeah, I would imagine if he didn't take these deals, we wouldn't be talking about him anymore, though.
Maybe not. Yeah. But I guess I don't see how taking
dirty.
blood money
dirty.
is somehow is like helping because all this does, again, don't be the face of a movement if you're going to be tainted, if you're compromised.
Absolutely.
And again, just to segue entirely, the reason people in the NFL are still taking a knee is because black men mostly are still being gunned down by the police. And, a perfect example of why these guys are still taking, and again, I have my issues with like a bunch of, multi-million-dollar NFL players, taking a knee and, what have they done lately for about police violence, but that aside, they're taking a knee.
Their memory's not so good.
Yeah, no, totally. CTE and stuff. But, they're taking a knee because people like this guy, Botham Jean, down in Dallas, gets murdered in his own house by a cop, this idiot woman, Amber Guyger, who, quote unquote, walked into the wrong apartment and thought he was a burglar and shot him dead. That is why the NFL players are still taking a knee. It's not about hating America or any of this other shit. And the Botham Jean thing is so crazy. If people aren't paying attention to this, they really should, because, and this is one of those examples where it's like, it's a perfect example of like, no, that's why they're taking a knee. There's another one too. I know Ed Opperman has talked about it, and of course his name is escaping me right now. But it was he was a white guy, but a former veteran who was killed in a Costco in Nevada, and in Las Vegas, and the Las Vegas police department completely covered it up. And Ed always says, "Well, that's a great example," because it's like, well, are you going to take a knee or are you going to stand? Because he's a veteran who was killed by the cops. So what do you do there?
Yeah.
And the Botham Jean thing is the same thing. This guy was, you couldn't make this up. He's a member of the community. He worked for like Price House, Cooper, whatever, that agency. He was, sang in like the local choir. He was like he went to a religious university, like a Christian school. He wanted to later, I think, return to St. Lucia, where he was from, and like run for prime minister.
But meanwhile, this woman graduated high school probably so she could become a cop. And taking their side, it really is. I don't know how. I have two sides to this. I don't know how you can just go into a house and actually think that you see a burglar go into a wrong house. Like, some part of you has to question that. And if not, you're just a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And like, why do we do so much psychological training on like contestants on The Bachelorette. Yeah. Why don't we do the same with cops? Like, it's insane to me how like little, just basic testing of, are you someone that, often doesn't check addresses? Like, no,
first of all, her story is utter bullshit.
It's bullshit.
She's saying she got off on the wrong floor. She parked her car on the wrong floor, went to the wrong apartment. The door was ajar. She walks in. All she can see is a dark silhouette. So she walks into the wrong house. The door is open though to this guy's house. All the lights are off. She gives verbal commands. They haven't stated he said no. Yeah. He fought back. She gives him verbal commands. He doesn't comply, whatever that means. She shoots him dead. Mm-hmm. She was off duty, but she was in her uniform. She had a flak jacket on, okay, and a gun. Even if it was a burglar, what's he gonna do? I mean...
And I think that's what's so crazy about all of these cops, where I'm like, are you that scared?
No, they are. They're all cowards. They're all scared.
Classic beta behavior.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They are incels who we give a gun to.
I know, right?
And this is what happens.
Yeah, and it's... If you are so scared, then, like, work at Costco. Like, you should not be a law enforcement.
Well, that work at Costco. That veteran who got the veteran who got shot. It was because a security guard at Costco was like he's a threat.
They have guns? Security guards?
No. It was cops that came, but it was a security guard that was hounding this guy.
I was about to say, like, I haven't been in a Costco, but that is a dark day when we give Costco security guards guns.
But and this whole thing is great. And now the new thing is they've leaked the warrant, the search warrant, and Botham Jean had weed in his house. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he was an international cocaine smuggler. She went into the wrong house and killed him.
Yeah.
You know, and this whole story is crazy. There's already, you know, witnesses saying that they heard her banging on the door saying, let me in. Because I just, again, why would he keep his door open?
Yeah.
In the dark, in his own house.
I've also never, and God forbid ever will, had like a police officer point a gun at me, but I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be calm. I think I would still be like...
Yeah, you would freak out.
Yeah, like anyone. If you had anyone, you know, come into your home unexpected, like, how would you react?
No, and there's...
And that's not, and like, she was in the wrong here. Like, there's no, like, legally, she was in the wrong.
And then she's like just out and about for 3 days. Like, they won't even charge her. She gets bail immediately. And they're all, again, they're trying to smear this kid.
Do you think that maybe then she'll sort of be like, well, we got to make an example, show that we're like, you know, women are treated equally as men, where they'll...
To be honest, this is my kind of weird, tinfoil conspiracy thing. But, you know... I feel like there's like a weird Mark Furman like racial thing. There's a picture of like her brother-in-law throwing up what may be like white power gang signs, and her mother is like has the all lives matter thing. I feel like there is a weird racial component to this that we don't fully know. What even if she went into the wrong house. Yeah. She had to know this guy. He lived above her.
Yeah.
What's she doing? Why is she banging on his door?
Yeah.
Supposedly. There's a weird... And the Dallas cops are super fucking racist. Yeah. And, you know, they have their own problems with... And again, we know from, you know, reports in California and other things that, you know, that a lot of these, like, cops... work with white power groups and white power groups, you know, infiltrate cops. I don't know. This is my tinfoil hat. I don't know enough, but I think there's going to be more to this story, and then we're going to find out a little bit more about this woman's past.
I think even if she's not maybe part in like a more organized...
She's an idiot.
Right? She's an idiot. Well, yeah, we have established this woman is a moron, but... Even if, like, your mother is wearing, like, all lives matter and, you know, you're surrounding yourself by that, even if you're saying, like, well, I'm not a racist, you've clearly been around people that are, or you clearly have a bias and you have some preconceived notions that are going to be problematic in a job where your job is to protect the public, not to protect, you know, beautiful Aryan children. Like, that's... Sorry, there's a idiot on a motorcycle. That's your job, is to protect the public. And...
No, and right. I mean, listen, best case scenario, it turns out that she was drunk off her ass. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, it's just...
Not in this... It'd be opioids in this country.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Well, and I'd like, you know, I can't wait for that, because, I mean, they've taken her blood, but they haven't... Either they haven't finished the test, or they haven't released them yet. But the whole thing, none of it makes sense. Again, why is his door open? Was she banging on it for him to let him in? You know, let me in. How do you get... You go to the wrong floor, the wrong apartment. She had to know this guy. He lived in her building.
Do we know, is she a veteran?
No. Okay. She's just some moron. She looks like the quintessential, just like a timid idiot who they let into the police force, has a gun and a flak jacket, but is terrified. And it's all about officer safety. You know, it's better that she kills someone rather than, oh, maybe she might have, you know, been hurt or something. I mean, again, it's also the whole thing. She couldn't see him. Like, so what? Were the lights off in his house? None of it makes sense.
Well, there's that teenager in New York that was shot in a dark hallway where it really is like, use a fucking flashlight. Or you shouldn't be, like, if you're afraid of the dark, then,
don't be a cop.
Don't be a cop.
Yeah.
Like,
no, because and again, they I think they do it on purpose. They pick these people that are trigger happy and terrified. They're terrified of the world around them. Yeah. They think that everybody is out to get them. Yeah. They have this chip on their shoulder, just like incels. Yeah. And no, I mean, we're joking, but like, I think that's the way police departments are structured now. And that's why people kneel during the national anthem at NFL games. We're coming up just at the very, very end. We probably only have about a minute left. So Emma, I want to thank you for joining us. Let the listeners know again where they can go to find your work. I'm
on Instagram, Emma__Redmond. Not just underscore, not spelled underscore. That would be stupid. EmmaRedmond.com. You can find my work. And maybe I will have a Patreon soon.
And a Twitch account.
Definitely a Twitch account. If you want to, though, first send me money to buy Crash Bandicoot, that would be dope.
You have Crash Bandicoot somewhere, don't you?
I don't
you
think
lost
so.
it?
I think I lost all of it. I think I lost that life a long time ago.
Okay, well, yeah, if you want to help Emma regain that life,
and
then
lose the life that I worked
please,
so hard to get.
donate to her soon-to-be-started Patreon. Thank you all so much for listening. It's been a fun show, Emma. I always love having you on. I think we covered some funny topics, some serious topics. We kind of jumped around a lot, so it was really fun. Stay tuned next week. I'm going to be speaking with Artisan Loaf, a.k.a. Nick, all about Elon Musk, so you'll probably like that episode.
So jelly.
So until then, I'll be talking to you all very soon.
No rules, no rules, no taboo topics, no taboo topics, no fear of doom, no fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio, American Freedom Radio.
Since the beginning, civilizations have risen and fallen. Rome, ancient Persia, Mongolia, Britain, and now America. Befallen by natural disasters, broken families, moral decay, lack of preparedness and conflict. Don't let this happen to you. Are you prepared? Would you like to help others prepare? AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com is looking for distributors. Email bugoutamerica@usa.com. Go to AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com, a veteran-owned and operated company. But do it today.
And I hope people support American Freedom Radio. And I hope people vote with their dollars and really understand the value of having American Freedom Radio. Because that's my family. If you love me at all, Jack Blood, support American Freedom Radio. Like, my family has literally disowned me. American Freedom Radio. Danny and Don and those guys, those are my actual family. So please support these guys, because they have all the technology, they have all these great things that they're going to do, but obviously they can't do it all by themselves. So not only would I like to see you support them, I'd like to see you retweet them and repost them and really get involved and get on the bandwagon, so to speak, on doing that do-it-yourself promotion, because they're a do-it-yourself radio network, and we just need that so much.
And when we're not invading some sovereign nation or setting it on fire from the air, which is more fun for our Nintendo pilots, then we're usually declaring war on something here at home. Did you ever notice that about us? We love to declare war on things here in America. Anything we don't like about ourselves, we declare war on it. We don't do anything about it. We just declare war on it. It's the only metaphor we have in our public discourse for solving problems, declaring war. We have to declare war on everything. We have a war on crime, the war on poverty, the war on litter, the war on cancer, the war on drugs. But you ever notice we got no war on homelessness? Huh? No war on homelessness. You know why? There's no money in that problem. No money to be made off of the homeless. If you could find a solution to homelessness where the corporate swine and the politicians could steal a couple of $1 million each, you'd see the streets of America begin to clear up pretty quick. I'll guarantee you that. I will guarantee you that.
You're listening to AmericanFreedomRadio.com, the network who perseveres in delivering intelligent debate, constructive dialogue with true independence. The freedom to broadcast the truth is not free at all. So what is American Freedom Radio worth to you? The empowering information with fun, honest and pure integrity behind it provides an example to follow. Friendships to flourish with the moral altruism that pulls no punches. The hosts sacrifice and show remarkable discipline in their duty to deliver quality radio in service to the community with strength, wisdom and loyalty. The founders of AFR wish to thank you personally for sharing your views and insights to make the best radio and alternative media. Now it's time for you to give something back and play a vital role in the future of America. Be as generous with us as we've been with you. Click on the donate banner at AmericanFreedomRadio.com or volunteer by emailing AmericanFreedomRadio@ymail.com. Vaccine, psychotropic drugs and artillery batteries not included.
Launch sequence initiated.
We're now in the approach phase. Everything looking good. Control is good. 5, rocket copy. 4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
Prepare your mind to experience American Freedom Radio.